Wow. Well, we talked a lot today about purpose, and not to repeat what everyone's been talking about, but I am going to talk about purpose. And what I'm going to talk about is embracing uncertainty and just the importance of embracing uncertainty as a catalyst for human evolution and growth. So there I was. I was in front of a team in Hyderabad, India. We had just gone to start our call center, our sales organization there, when I worked for Dell. And a gentleman, just before we were about to go live, said, "Ma'am, I just have one final question." I said, "What's that?" He said, "What are our American names going to be?" I knew in that moment I was given an opportunity to change someone's life. And I said, "Your name is going to be your name. Whatever your names are, we are proud to be here. I want you to be you, and that's what's going to set us apart." The room was tears. I had unknowingly opened myself to this opportunity that would change how I would see the world, how I would experience my career for the next 25 years. But prior to that moment in India, about 4 months earlier, I had received a phone call, and it was my brother telling me my mother was on her deathbed. My mother, who was never sick a day in her life, I walked in the hospital room the next morning and knew that the person I loved most lying in that hospital room was, at best case, we had a few months. I knew we didn't have much time, and my purpose for the last 5 years, I had a great career up to that point. I was pretty much getting everything I ever dreamed of in my corporate career. But I was faced with a decision. And the decision was, do I leave my job and leave my company and stay with my mother, or do I go back? And by the way, she told me to go back. I don't listen well sometimes. But I knew that there was only one choice I could make, and that was to be by her side. So I took a leave of absence. They gave up my team, and they said, "We'll see you when you come back in 3 months." So when I came back to work 45 days later, my mother had passed away exactly 45 days later. I walked into the office and I said, "What's my job?" And so my boss at the time said, "We need you to go to India. But you can't tell anyone. And we need you to decide within 24 hours. Within 6 weeks, I was on a plane and I was going to interview and hire an entire team that would then become our Canada sales organization. What I can share is it was the most impactful career decision of my life and the most impactful decision I made outside of making the decision to stay with my mother. So when I was in the room and I was interviewing these wonderful candidates, I had underestimated the impact that this job would have for them. I knew then that I had such an incredible opportunity and responsibility to make this successful for them and their families over the next 10, 20, 30 years. But I knew the only way to do that was to be raw and be vulnerable and lead authentically. And I truly don't think, if my mother had not passed away, that I would have embraced that opportunity the way that I had. And so I relinquished control and I led with purpose. The next one is about knowing your worth. 18 months into having a new baby, my only child, I knew it would be her and I forever. And I was faced with a decision that would impact not only my life, but her life for the rest of her life. And this was going to be the hardest decision I would ever make. And it's not about just knowing your worth. It's about teaching the worth to your children and to my daughter in that moment. And it's not about divorce. It's about moving through things and making decisions based on purpose and not out of fear. So in my experience, running to uncertainty with courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to adapt to any situation are often at the core of our most profound experiences. It's where you gain perspective, help reinforce your purpose, and develop personal and professional growth. I am certain if you do this, you will look back on those experiences with gratitude and discover that you can achieve way more than you ever thought was possible. Thank you.